Welcome to Riga Business School Bottom Line Studio podcast. My name is Elīna Valdmane and I am professional MBA graduate. And our today's episode's topic is intrinsic motivation at work. And my today's guest is Artūrs Cjunskis, executive MBA graduate. Hello.
Hi, Elīna. Hi.
But before we start today's episode, I have a message on behalf of Riga Business School administration. And the message is regarding today's situation in Ukraine. And Riga Business School stands with Ukraine, and RBS employees and faculty are engaged in different aid activities, and they are ready to support students and academic personnel from Ukraine as much as they can, meanwhile securing undisrupted studies for current RBS students. And before we continue, let's take a moment in silence and send good thoughts to the people in Ukraine. So thank you, and let's continue with today's episode. So I met Artūrs before this podcast only once, and it was in our graduation party. And immediately when I met Artūrs, I thought that we could have an interesting conversation together. So today I'm especially happy to have Artūrs as my guest in today's episode. And before we jump in today's topic about intrinsic motivation at work, I would like to get to know you a little bit better. And I have a quote from somebody you know, and the quote goes like this. Artūrs has a passion for sports. In the earlier days, it was hard to distinguish which is Artūrs and which is his twin brother, both great handball players. And now Artūrs and his family are more engaged into winter sports. So I have two questions for you. So the first
Elīna,
question...
you are good informed. Sorry.
Yes, I'm good informed about you. I see that you're surprised. Yeah. So can you guess who said that about you and what is your current relationship with sports?
Actually, I have difficulty to say who, really. Is it somebody from our group? Which
No.
No. Then no idea. Really, okay. No idea. No. Today, actually, if my relation to sport is on hobby level, but actually me and my wife together in our family, we care about our two boys, two sons. Mm-hmm. They try to be ice hockey professionals, or at least try to go this way to get there, and they are currently abroad, and we really keep fingers crossed that they manage it.
Okay. So then I will reveal you the secret, and the observations came from your neighbor Artrs Cjunskis.
Okay.
Okay. So when I asked you how I should introduce you in this podcast, you choose to have the headline of automotive industry professional. So can you tell me a little bit, how did you choose this field and what was your journey to where you are now?
Actually, this field I used, it's complete accident. There was no conscious plan on it. And as I finished school, if it's about journey, then start there. I finished Mūrjāņu Sporta Internat Skola. And this is start of being related to sport, and this was a great experience there. Grades were okay, and not okay, even good. And parents say, hey guys, me and my twin brother, let's study something. And then what then? And somehow we decided to do weather mechanic, meaning or architecture. And architecture was not the case, because I have how it is resistance to be somewhere very high. It is
phobia.
Yeah. This we released, and immediately And we entered in Riga Technical University in Faculty of Mechanics. And specialization was cars and car park management. We did it, or I did it as well, 5 years, finished, and actually finished, and I didn't have any relation or any fun to the professionality of it, meaning to the content. You do it because you do it. In parallel, I always, well, at that time, I tried to become a professional handball player. So this was the main, how can I say, main what I did at that time. And studying in parallel. Actually, challenging time, you do your professional sport and you do studies. 92, I finished. And this was the kind of time which was, you don't know what, it was our independence time, second year. There was an opportunity and I went to Germany to play handball. And at that time, to get visum, it was not that simple. And there was opportunity to get it as for education, let's put this that way. And as ready Riga Technical University engineer, I started in German professional school, meaning with guys who just finished 8 classes in basic school. And in parallel worked as a service technician, as a trainee at the beginning in a classical way, how we know it today here, Mercedes-Benz authorized dealership. And this was the key point. I understood I like this job, I like cars, I like everything around it. And as returned then back from Germany after 4 years being there, started this kind of job in this industry in Latvia from 97. And if you look to today, it's 24 years in this industry in different positions, yes. But this is shortly about the journey to get in automotive. So this is the point where I can say automotive industry professional, simply you do it that long time.
Okay, so then I wonder, as you are engineer and all in the technical sphere, so how did your interest in intrinsic motivation at work occur?
This is for me still not answered question, and why I did this, because it's why I did it we will come to, but how I get there actually, since it is of course connected to studies in RBS. And at one point, what we do, we study business actually, business management, and it's partly about productivity, about organizations, about accounting strategies and that way. And I will step a bit back. One of most exciting classes I had was the HR course by Mrs. Bluma. And this was the point where I started to get or to dig into, let's say, personnel management or personnel care questions. And somehow in a research, whatever was the reason I did it, I found improve your bottom line via employees engagement. So, okay, engagement. What is engagement? Yeah, of course, everyone has been participating in kind of engagement survey in own company where you work, or different ways. I started to try to understand what engagement is. And again, within this research, I found actually a book. And this book is actually the title of today's meeting, Intrinsic Motivation at Work. I bought this book. I started to read it. And I found even the author of this book. Of course, it was on the book. It is not that difficult. And I was excited about, because this was a methodology developed by one American doctor of philosophy, Kenneth W. Thomas. This was a kind of practical guideline, or you can use it as a practical roadbook or guideline in a practical life, in your own company, in department, in looking how to find out what motivation type or what motivation level your employees have. And then this methodology, I used it, even used it in my thesis. I developed a survey based on this book. The methodology actually have had a survey, and the survey, Mr. Thomas, he obviously sold to a company, and it's a Canadian company, Psychometrics, and I approached them. I was willing to get this survey from Mr. Thomas, but this is already commercial use. So then, okay, for study purposes, I decided not to buy it because I didn't know there should be volume behind and certain logic. If they sell it, then you send links to your participants, you pay for it, and you receive very high level evaluation of survey participants. Actually developed based on book, my survey, but at one point, and this is the fun story, I hope I'm kind of structured in what I say. At one point, I was kind of, this survey, for academic reasons, somebody should give it, if you can evident that it is not for commercial use. And I wrote an email to this author, Mr. Kenneth W. Thomas. He answered. That was the fun part. He is still alive, which is okay. He is, and he answered me. I asked, hey, can you provide me with questions? Normally not, but if you promise me you use it only for academic purposes, you can do it. I received survey questions, those genuine or original, and this is outcome of his research work since 80s in last century. He did it. This was his lifetime work actually. Then I compared survey he sent me and what I somehow created myself from his book. I was actually very, very happy to see about 80% I catched right. Yeah? This was my kind of homework to do that. And actually what this survey does, engagement, yeah. And Mr. Thomas, he defined engagement, I would say nicely, this I could understand. His version of what is engagement is people ability for self-management. Actually, it's short. You can remember. This I like on it. Okay, then, what is self-management? Yeah? And again, he goes next step and say, self-management actually is people's ability to commit to meaningful purpose or target. Actually, if you do that, then probably it's very good. Then you can choose activities by yourself. To get there, actually, you know your target, and you are able to decide what is the right thing to do to get there. Next one in the self-management, yeah, you try to do everything you do competently because you have kind of your own standards, your own requirement to be not best, not necessarily that, but better. And last part of self-management events is something you really start to monitor everything you did. Is it right or not? Does it move forward to this target or not? Actually, there were 4 blocks, and this methodology at the end, he write in this book actually very nicely how you can measure this, meaning this level of intrinsic motivation. And this is the survey. So you can measure it by that. And actually the survey has 4 blocks and measures your feelings, senses. How do you feel in your work environment? And it measures your sense of meaningfulness at work. What does this mean, meaningfulness? That it's your understanding, feeling that time you spend there is your time worth. That energy you spend, you really spend willingly. Next part you measure it is your freedom of choose, how you do that. Some questions find out what is your feeling or sense. Are you free to choose or are you really restricted, framing? And similarly to how you feel about your competence level, is the task you have, is environment challenging for you or too boring? If boring, you are not really meeting your standards own. And as well, the last one is then this progress, level of progress. Everything you did, is it improving or is it not? And this actually is the survey outcome which shows you then those levels of those four blocks. And next one, there's this book or this methodology, let's put it that way. It provides you with a kind of guideline what you as a manager, department or company can do to improve. And it's very, very practical. And this was actually my probably engineering rational part. Said, hey, you understand it, Artūrs, you can take it and you can apply on and use. This is probably was not that short, but it's about.
Okay. And while you were researching this methodology and creating this survey, what did you discover about yourself and intrinsic motivation?
Actually, this methodology tells you as well, you should start with your own intrinsic motivation. If it's okay, you can somehow apply it, not apply, but actually influence others. And this will be now a part of it. Actually, as I started to dig into and I evaluate myself within these blocks and understood that I was not good at all. My motivation level was, I would say average, really average. And the outcome was kind of straightforward. I changed the job. Actually, I moved. Yes, at one point I decided to do something different. And yes, it makes you, how can I say? You think about, let's put it that way. Yeah. But you can improve. Intrinsic motivation is actually up to you, up to your decision. What you do, how you do, when you do, and at what place you do. But from perspective as you are, let's say, in charge, as responsible or manager, let's put it that way. It's your responsibility that environment where your people, your company is in a shape that this intrinsic motivation, let's say, has potential to improve, to grow. It's then management responsibility. This I learned and I try, at least. I do not say I succeeded, not yet, but this takes time. Takes time to work with people. You can't go there and I will motivate you now. It doesn't work this way. Yeah, but you have to have plan certain steps.
Okay. And as you also mentioned, you have experimented with this approach also in your workplace.
Yes.
So what is that what you actually have implemented and how it works?
I would say, as I mentioned, we are on the way. I invited my employees to participate in the same survey. I put it online in visi.lv. It's a very comfortable way to ask people about their opinion. It takes only 12 minutes actually, or 10 to 12, yeah. And the results are very interesting actually. We are in automotive business, retail, and what I can recognize, the meaningfulness, why we are there, what we are doing, people like what they do. They really think this meaningfulness, which is connected to clarity of your task, to targets, to let's say, let's put this vision term as well in place. This is okay. But what I recognized as well, that in some employees or departments as well, the freedom of choice was, let's say, low. Let's say put that way. And this for me was kind of, wow, Artūrs, you really need to do something. What does this mean, freedom of choice? That means that regulations probably are too many in place. regulations, whatever, processes. And then I thought, my company, I would not know that we have too many regulations. And then what I did, or what we do together, we started to speak about, actually, to open the cases or the questionnaires and say, what is the reason you feel that way? This and that. And so it helps you to recognize where the problem is. I will be very explicit. One of my key department managers had the feeling the regulations are too strong, or the boss or the manager is looking too strong after. And I hope after I discovered it, after one-to-one meeting, we are clear with it, so that this is probably mismatch in information exchange. Let's be probably more open, more explicit about everything we do together. And the progress is this was the level of sense of progress, actually, is something what we currently would like to improve. But actually, the automotive retail in last 2 years, COVID time, probably you have heard we have kind of component supply issues and all this. Of course, it is not that easy to say, yeah, we are not there we want to be, but this is not up to us. It is the external environment, and still we have to put to see into reality and say we did probably the best we were capable for today. And this measurement told me, Artūrs, you need to prize people more often, even if we are not at the point we want to be. But it's probably up to what is success, actually, or what is definition of it, and care about your people more. Actually, for me, I found out very much I have to, I have to deliver.
Okay. And as you also touched upon the COVID situation, I don't know how it was in your office. Many people were working remotely, or still there were?
No, we are in customer service, meaning customers are coming to us. No. We were always in a let's say present working mode. But we had to manage, as any company. Of course, people got COVID. Then they are for 10 or for certain time out this replacement, and probably somebody needed to work longer and that way.
Because I wonder, this was not your case, but I wonder, for example, the companies who went remote, when you are all together and working towards a common goal, it's easier to let's say see that purpose, remember that purpose, and have that teamwork. But when you're like working all by yourself at home, it could sometimes that purpose part could go missing easily.
I didn't experience actually this remote work. I was probably 2 or 3 days in remote. I have heard different feedback. Somebody like it a lot, somebody less or not at all. But I can imagine there are some pluses as well. So.
Okay. So as you now have had some time to test this methodology, so what are maybe some results, some practical results you are already seeing in your company?
Practical results. I think this is as you start to, this measurement is fast actually, but as you dig into, you know practically a guideline, what you can improve. This probably I need some example. Team meetings. What we did, we started to speak about if you want to have kind of collaborative culture, then I put in place, see, what we can't allow kind of cynical environment in team, and as well not in company. And this is my responsibility. Boss, if something happens that way, remarks partly, it can be conflicts in team. not conflicts, but disagreement. It's okay. It's a reason we progress actually. Ne? But how we deal with that? Yeah, how we deal with that? This is the topic, and we put it. At least I try to do it the open way. Respect each other. So, and as well in difficult, probably situations, we get out better in collaborative level. Even if it's a compromise, it's better if we don't speak about. Compromises where interests from one and another or my one are not completely met, but at least we are on a way to that. This probably. And what else? As I mentioned, we are on the way, but it's a good guideline for motivational reasons. Of course, it's probably very difficult to understand what it is, so but it's probably then needs certain visualization and yeah.
Okay. And is there something that totally did not work out?
Oh no, yet probably not. I don't have a good example for this.
Okay.
Luckily not.
And what would you suggest to somebody in some other company who is, let's say, thinking about their employee motivation? Where should they start?
I would I would suggest if it's possible and budgets are in place, still apply professional consultancy. Yeah, still ask professional people. They are training companies, individuals, specialists for organizational behavior improvement. Since if somebody as a cert, as a coach or as a trainer comes into your company, I think results are better as you do it on your own. Since I think people trust professionals from outside more than from because they are professionals. Everybody should do their work, and why I participated once. It was about 2008, 2009 in such kind of external company training, organizational behavior, and let's say training about business fundamentals and how company works, and I was excited about the outcome. Professionals came, they put us in right understanding what is company purpose, what is vision, what is strategy. You develop personal activity list, department activity list, targets. And they structured this amazingly good. And surprise, surprise, the whole team, the company then gets together and trust improves. And trust is very connected to motivation. Yeah. And so my advice would be, if possible, try to apply external support. But if it's not, really, this if you Google intrinsic motivation at work, this book will pop up. It is really easy to read, and methodology or the ways you can do it's very practical. It's there. I was excited actually. I probably repeat me, but that's the truth.
Okay, you can maybe now sell your survey.
I can share it. I will not sell it. I can share it.
Okay. So, as we soon have to wrap up our conversation, I wanted to explore your relationship with the Riga Business School. And we both graduated last year, but we did not have the same subjects. You were in the executive program, I was in a professional program. So, what was your journey in RBS?
RBS. I will put it that way. already 2014, I was in a kind of understanding. It's 7 years ago, no? Yeah, even 8. I want to improve engineering education. I was looking for management. I participated in mini MBA at Swedish School of Economics, and at that time my English, I understood, is not ready to make the whole program those MBA, and I improved within the next 3-4 years, and then I accidentally found out a kind of invitation study at RBS Executive MBA. And I started to look what RBS is, and this is Riga Technical University connected education company. This for me was clear. Loyalty, I studied at RTU, RBS is my choice. And I was very lucky, I could get into the executive group and finance it as well. And I would say it's probably in the last 5 years the most exciting experience I have had. I met people, I challenged myself. So if you start with close to 50 to study, your capacity of fast thinking actually is already a bit different as you are 18 or 25. And challenge, because free time is then actually a relative term, yeah, so it is. You do your professional life and studies, but I'm very happy actually, very happy that I did it.
Okay. And what do you see as your main benefits from these studies?
As I mentioned, people. Then actually, I structured actually knowledge you get. A very, very interesting way. Those case studies approach. This was something I found as well. Yeah, intensive. But then I mean the quality of it is good, and I still, from time to time, I'm going through my learning journals I was writing. This is a summary. Is it strategy? Is it HR? Or is it organizational behavior? Or as well, actually, the business ethics. This was something I liked heavily by Artrs Cjunskis, yeah, and. Yeah, probably this.
Okay, so basically during your studies you created a practical manual for yourself.
Yeah, I have it. I have this good opportunity. There is a room in my house, and there's a desk, and this desk is still full with all the notes and books. I didn't put them somewhere in a shelf. No.
Okay. And what would you suggest to somebody who is thinking about starting the executive program?
A suggestion for executive, yes, I have it. We somehow briefly catched it. Already at the beginning, decide what is your term paper theme. Already in the first semester, so then you can kind of adapt everything you do in the studies to this thesis, and you will get through them much more faster and easier. Yeah, I decided to write about what I didn't wrote any term paper while studying, and thesis was kind of completely separated topic. And amount of energy you need to put to finish it is then double at least. And this is the kind of very practical, I would say, suggestion to who starts, but to anyone who decides to do it, it's worth this time. Yeah.
Okay. And just before we wrap up our today's conversation, is there something else you would like to add before we conclude?
Oh, something else? No, not necessary. Probably what you started. I wish to everyone, to you, to listeners, stay safe. It's in light of external, actually, happenings in Ukraine. That's probably what I want to say.
Okay. So I will say then many thanks to Artūrs for the valuable insights from today. And I will say thank you to our viewers and listeners. And the next episode will be on the 31st March, hosted by Riga Business School faculty member Greg Matters, and the guest will be revealed soon. So, thank you.
Thank you.